Okay, we about to get started here. Doing a quick test real quick. Test one, two, three. Test one, two, three. Oh yeah, that thing is way off. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. That is way, that is way off, guys. Okay, what do we got? Uh, okay, let's do that again. Test one, two, three. I think the sync is off, but negative. Hold on. Want to get this right. Let's do negative 100. All right, check it. One, two, three. That looks way better. I think I got the sync right. Almost. It's not perfect. It's slightly off, but it is a negative milliseconds. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, we're about to get started. It's not. I wonder if I take it down further, if I go too far, it's gonna be like way off though. So let's do 125, negative 125 milliseconds, and it should be good. Test. Okay. One, two, three. Yeah, I think we got him. We got him. All right, let me turn my monitor off. Okay, we've already spent a good how many minutes? It doesn't even tell me anymore. Oh, it's very small. So we're about 4 minutes in. Okay, good, good, good. All right. All right. So let's get started. So welcome to the stream. I'm your host Michelle, and this is the another episode of the Photo vChat. So if you're not familiar with the Photo vChat is, it's basically a video version of my Photog chat, which I do on my podcast channel on Anchor, which is also available on Spotify and other places you can normally find podcasts. And you can find that at Mystic Mindcast. So look for that. If you're looking for my podcast, they usually last about a good hour or so. These I'm trying to keep down to about 15, 20 minutes tops. Sometimes maybe even shorter than that. So now that I have everything good to go, let's get started. Thanks for joining me. Today I want to talk about the community and what exactly do I mean by community. So there's many types of communities. There's gaming communities, there's crypto communities, But today in particular, I want to talk about photography communities. And why? Well, let me give you a little bit of background for me first. So I've given my background on how I got into photography. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit of background how I got into the Photog community. And it's been close to about 4 years, 4 years or so. But even prior to getting into the photography community, I entered the, I guess, cinematography community, the movie production scene. Uh, many years, many. It's too far. It's too far. But years. But once I got out of the military here in Hawaii, I stuck around, and it took me probably a good 4 months before I started meeting people, just out and about, and I finally met somebody on a commercial set. Actually, commercial set. We were doing a commercial, and I made some really good friends from that shoot. Basically, it was a whole week, and I met this one cool dude, and we've been friends ever since. We hold different photography events every now and then, and mostly dinners. Usually, it's like dinner at home kind of thing. We chat, talk about whatever comes up. Hopefully, not politics, because that's a whole different story. But anyways, that's when I first got into it, and he introduced me to a lot of friends out here and it's kind of just a domino effect. And then I started meeting different models, different people, different actors and actresses, that sort of thing. And then it wasn't until about, I would say, 2016 is when I entered the photography scene out here. And I say 2016, there's a few years in between when I first met the other guy, the guy that mostly does movies. He's more into um, set set design and prop design, which is he's a god. It's a guy that is pretty good. Um, Let me take a drink. I'm get thirsty. So it wasn't until 2016 till I got into the photography scene, and then because I got my first serious camera in 2015. Then I started taking photos of just like first started with my former roommate. Just went out on the beach, got some shots. She was doing hula in the water. It was dope. I was like first, and I could tell you that years prior to that, I would have been like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do that. But I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So distractions. Turn that thing off. This is live, so just random stuff likes to go off and make noise when I'm doing live stuff. So try to keep it to a minimum if possible. I got the zero piece in, so my computer won't be making any noise. If it does, it'll be right here. You won't hear it though, but my biggest fans back there. So, anyway, welcome to the stream. Um, so as far as after that first shoot, I honestly, yeah, that was early 2016, I believe. Um, or late. Anyway, I can't quite remember when it was, but it was after, I want to say it's after I graduated from college, and then 2017 is when I got hot and heavy in photography and started going to different workshops, meeting different people, and still to this day have really good friends that do all sorts of photography. And and actually, I want to say the end of 2017 is when like I met some of the, I mean, most people that I've met are pretty awesome, whether that's models, photographers, artists, visual artists, makeup artists. 2017 was really a big year for meeting. those sorts of people in the community, and that's when everything basically just took off because once I started to get to know people, and once they get to know me, then everything else kind of just jumped off, and it was dope. Um, excuse me, take a drink. So yeah, it was that was pretty much the real beginning of me finding my way into the photography community out here. Now, when I say photography, I kind of use it loosely because while there is photography, there's also those visual arts. I consider myself a visual artist as well as a photographer. Um, there's makeup, there's movies, so it's it's kind of like a broad thing, but it is specific because I mostly do photography and visual arts over a lot of other things that exist. Like yes, I know people that do makeup arts. I don't touch that stuff, but I do include that within this topic, and that's the important thing. I'm gonna get to in a second. So that was my start, and I met some awesome people, awesome models, any type of person you can imagine. That's kind of like it opened a lot of doors as far as I wouldn't say professionally, but but that's always still on the table. I have my notebook here, so keeps me on tab, keeps me on track. So it's okay, good. We're good on time. I'm not gonna try to rush this, but I do want to make sure I get my opinion out and just my thoughts and insight if I can provide that for you. So, so right now, okay, good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Uh, First major shoot before I go to the next topic or subtopic is that we did this huge shoot at the end of 2017 that was just like it was a Christmas shoot. And this was the beginning of Christmas shoots to come. The Christmas shoots, not just Christmas in particular. Do I look sweaty? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I got it. Hold on, guys. Okay. I feel like my face is like just like melting almost. It's not even that hot today. It's actually raining outside. So that first major group shoot was pretty much a whole day event. It involved a lot of moving parts, food, makeup artists, props. The area we shot in was literally on the top floor. It was a venue that people use for different things, and it even had a sauna, which is a sauna in the middle of the city. It was almost random, but it was like I believe it was a condo. It was like it's a condo complex. Anyways, we set this up ahead of time. The guy, good friend of mine, he moved away a couple years ago, unfortunately, so we haven't had a shoot with him in a while. Just in general, we haven't had a shoot, but that he's basically started the whole thing, and and it was basically boudoir Christmas. We used different like again different props, lightings. That venue had different areas you could shoot in. It was like one of my first shoots, so I literally had one flash because eventually I started getting in the flash. So later 2017 time frame, I had gotten the flash by that point, and I believe I had a softbox. Yeah, definitely had a softbox, and I started doing that. So that was my thing. I wasn't really, I wouldn't say I was good, but I was decent. Because lighting, it's a whole other ball game. I'm not going to talk about it right here, but it's it's definitely next level if you're looking to get into photography for the longer for the longer run. I mean, you don't have to deal with lighting, but I feel like I'm more of a hybrid shooter where I can do natural light and flash if I need to or want to, desire to, because again, lighting is all about manipulating light. Manipulating and making use of light or utilizing light in a way that would bring out a better photo, basically. So, anyways, I digress. But the whole event took all day, made really good friends. We started something that we do pretty much every year now. That's Christmas Boudoir, which is perfect because it's around that time that we start doing these type of shoots with different people. And we a lot of time we do it for fun, but we also do it to basically. For me, I don't do. I would say I don't necessarily do boudoir all year long. I do it like basically in different like spurts, I guess you can call it that. Whereas Christmas may be the biggest time I do it, and then maybe the next time I do it it's Valentine's or for Valentine's or for clients. But those are more sporadic. Those are more sporadic as far as when that happens and when that takes place. So like I said, Christmas is kind of like the basically the perfect time. Christmas and between Valentine's and whatever other holidays we can use. That's and plus it was my one of my first times doing boudoir. Not the very first. I don't. Yeah, it wasn't my first, but it was one of my first. I started doing boudoir, and even then, a lot of the stuff came out more so like glamour. There are differences, so we'll we can talk about that another time. But anyways, great event, network, amazing, great friends even to this day. We talk, we chat, we have dinners. We started doing that a lot. Um, but until recently, last year, everything going on, and you already know it's just yeah, we couldn't do it. We haven't done it, and since the guy that actually started this, he left the island. We really haven't. It hasn't really been the same. So then there's that. So anyways, why am I making this video? It's important to note that so I take in a lot of insight from photographers who I look up to, who I have looked up to for many reasons and many reasons um being that it was a gear choice. I'm deciding on maybe I want to get something a certain lens or a certain camera or a certain light. And there's various photographers that are really good for that. Um, Matt Granger, Matt Irwin, Jared Polin, um, Ryan Troy. There's many others, but I seek out some of the greats, and they may not be the best in the world. I don't know. Like some of them are. Some of them are pretty good at what they do. They're really good. They're professional. They have channels that have a huge following and all that, and why not follow them? If I know that what they're telling me is going to, in a sense, well, it's not going to make me better, but the application of what I'm learning from the insight they're giving me is going to make me a better photographer. So I look up to these people and I watch these videos. Like, it's almost like I watch that a lot more than say I'm watching like a movie or a TV series or whatever. But I spend a lot of time on YouTube doing that, and of course, it's among other things. But yeah, so there's various photographers and various specifics and fields. Some of them are good at tutorials, at making editing photos, developing photos, that sort of thing. All kinds, right? All kinds. The important thing to note is that they all exist in this community. It's not just they make a video and it goes out, and some people may, a lot of people will watch it, but other people won't watch it for whatever reason. Maybe the algorithm is like it won't let them see it or whatever. Main reason why I'm making this video is mostly because of that reason, is because there are people out there, normal people, just like me, that are, some are professional, a lot of them are professional, some of them just do it for fun. Some of them, they just, they love what they do. They have a passion for it. And that's really the people that I look to for advice and insight on what I want to do next, or maybe I'm looking for inspiration, or some sort of motivation as to what I want to do next. And I don't I won't say I don't necessarily find it locally, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. But when, and this is especially when I was starting out, is that I was looking up to people that were better than me. And yes, it's good to have friends. It's good to have people that you look to for advice that's close to you. That's even better. And I do know people like that. I have there's no shortage of people like that. Hands down, there's no shortage of friends and fellow photographers and artists in the community that I know that can give me some really good advice. There's a lot of awesome people that live out here. I make this video, and I'll just give you a little bit of a backstory in it. So before the launch, and kind of around the launch of the Nikon Z9, and no, this video is not about that, but hey, if I get more views, then so be it. But around the time of the Nikon Z9, there were a few photographers I was following at the time. One in particular, his name is Vahogany. Um, Check out his channel. He's pretty dope. He's like a rock and roll photographer, basically. He does these talks, and one talk he had was with Jared Polin. I believe there's a photographer. He calls himself Frames. It's like TM, like trademark Frames TM. He's from India. And Mike Photo Ike. So they all were on this video chat basically, and I believe, yeah, it was live. I think it was initially live. I don't know, but he goes back, he does some edits, and then he republishes them. But anyway, so point being, that chat basically they invited Jared Polin. Jared Polin does a lot of gear talk, and over the past couple years, he switched to using more Sony and sometimes Canon products over Nikon. And the reason he kind of gets into it, so I'll let you watch the video, but basically the point is I bring this up is because they brought him on the show, and I mean, I've seen this side of Jared Polin before where, he's not just like the talking head. I know he probably makes a lot of money off of the videos he talks about and the gear and all that stuff. But he showed a side of himself that he normally doesn't. I guess you don't really feel it or see it in most of his videos about the gear, but he's in the video he was, I wouldn't say callous, but he's a certain way. He even mentioned that he's a certain type of asshole. He said this himself. He's a certain type of asshole, but I get that because that's how a lot of people see him, and that's how he comes off. But also what I took away from it is that, he talks a lot about the gear, like I said, and he brings this up, but the whole talk and just the questions and the answers and all that stuff was basically what I want to get to as far as community, because all those photographers are part of this community, and each and every one of them are different parts of the planet. Again, one guy from India, one guy from the East Coast. I don't know where Mahogany's from, but Photog, he lives in Washington. So we got people all over the world doing something, contributing to the cause, so cause of art, and go, go capture something, go make art. And that's basically the thing that I took away from it, is that I see it and I'm like, it's not hard to do. And people will do this all the time on Instagram. Well, it's easy to just, if you like something, just like it. Don't, you know it's free. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm doing right now is free. I mean, yeah, it does use up electricity, uses up battery power, whatever, but it also takes time, which is the main reason why I don't do it as often as I could. But that's the key takeaway, is that the community is kind of like this organic thing. It basically is. It's an organic thing. Has a lot of people involved in it. A lot of people I've met are awesome. Some people, very few, not so much. And so that's basically kind of my point. I have my list here. Hold on. Okay, so good, good, good. Thirsty. Gathering my thoughts. So I see these people, and yeah, you know what? Jared Poland's probably, he's got millions of followers. He's making revenue from being a professional photographer. He has the time, but he also said he doesn't have the time. He's very busy. But I'm looking at all these different people. Matt Irwin actually, and Matt Irwin also kind of inspired me in this. Matt Granger also, and every other name that I've named, everyone has inspired me in some way, shape, or form to do this, because I don't know if there's anybody else in Hawaii. I know there's a few photographers that I know personally that do this sort of thing on YouTube and Instagram or whatever, but and I'm not saying I want to be like the face and name of Hawaii as far as photography. I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't Again, I mean, like I said, 10 years ago, I would have thought I was crazy to get into photography like I'm doing right now. Fashion, of all things. I look at fashion magazines so differently. When I walk around, like Louis Vuitton and different places I used to work as, freaking security so many years ago, I see it differently. It's not the same. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that who I am is not who I was. So photography for me is actually catapult me to a better place in my life, um, just as a passion of mine. Professionally, professionally, I haven't done as much as I could. There's a lot of work, and that's a different topic for a different day. But again, the community in the networking has provided me a lot of different things that going solo just doesn't present. And I know there's people, I mean, granted, photography is pretty much like a solo, with a solo dolo, a solo type of career or lifestyle. Whatever you want to call it. It's a lot of times it's a solo thing. Yes, there are shoots that have a lot of moving parts, like movies where you have like the prop master or whatever, the makeup artist on the side. You may have a few people that are, in charge of set design or what it looks like. So much like a movie, photography can be like that, but for a lot of times for me, it's usually me and the other person, the subject. That's it. Or if I'm not capturing models. I'm capturing landscapes. I'm capturing the urban, the cityscapes, the waterscapes, that sort of thing. Again, it's a lot of times, 99% of the time, it's, well, 99% is actually a lot. So I will say 90%. 90% of the time, it's a solo type of thing. There are like huge teams that I work. There's very very few times I've worked with a team, and it's always been amazing. I can't complain. Like, it's always been amazing the times I've shot with other people, and it's been great. Which brings me to my point. Again, I don't feel like I'm not looking to be the face of Hawaii or whatever. I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there that you could watch, and they do such a great job that the production is on point. It's not the point. The point is, as an artist, I feel that I have an obligation to the community, and the obligation is to somehow contribute. I don't feel like it's a weight on my shoulders kind of thing, like it's it's really just something I feel that I gotta do. Like, I'll give you a great example. I'm not I'm not gonna say I'm the best photographer in the world, 'cause I'm not. That's obviously not the case. I definitely don't feel that. But I feel like, like when someone gets to a point in their life where it's like it's it's their duty to kind of pass on something, like it's not one of those men in black moments. No. I'm not retiring anytime soon as far as photography goes, but what I'm saying is that what I would like to do is pass on some knowledge if I can, and not only contribute to the community in such a way where other people can gain insight from me, but we can kind of bounce stuff back and forth between them and me, and I can learn something from them as well, and we can be a better community overall. That's the point. And that's ultimately why I'm creating this video, which I hope is something that can be a start of something new to go from. So that's where I'm at. I think that is pretty much it. But I figure I'm so sweaty. This is what I like about live. It's raw. I was actually thinking about calling one of my series like something raw or whatever, but I decided not to. I just kept the name because I would drop like a bunch of f bombs and everything like that. I haven't cussed this whole time actually, which is rare. Anyways, so that's about it. I like I said, I don't want to drag this out too long. These photo V chats I want to keep to a minimum, but I know I've already exceeded that. But you know, technology and everything. You like the new setup? Wait, hold on, guys. I feel like my face is melting. It's like so much sweat. So I didn't mention this. Um, I didn't mention that. Maybe I should conclude. Actually, I'm gonna conclude, and then I will kind of talk to you about just what I'm using here. So, anyways, basically, yeah, that's pretty much it. So the other thing is, and I know I've kind of mentioned this before, is that since I've been here, I've been a part of several group shoots, different events that involve models, photographers, makeup artists. We had a dope squad last year. Um, a friend and myself, we basically started this group called the Adventure High Crew, which is basically Adventure Hawaii Crew, and that's awesome because we do. I mean, this last year again, it's been kind of slow because of everything that's going on, but for the most part, we started that. We started that thing because not gonna say names, but we had actually didn't really involve anybody that we knew. It was kind of like it was a friend of a friend. Something really bad happened, and it involved a shoot that wasn't really a shoot. It went, it was just ill intent, ill intent, and so we created this group to alleviate that. So people have models, mostly females, have a place to go to shoot with photographers that they can trust. And we haven't had any issues as far as our group goes. We haven't had any issues, and we formed this constitution and just different guidelines and stuff like that to kind of keep people in check. It's not it's nothing to control anybody. I want to get set that straight. And also another thing, because this is part of the community, is safety. It's a safety. We wanted to create a safe place for people, and so that's another contribution to the community, because there are predators out there that they feel like, oh, I can pick up a camera. I'm a photographer too, or the guy with the camera, or I've always heard it's a guy with a camera. It's never been like a chick with a camera. It's always a guy with a camera that is really a predator. They may or may not be a real artist or photographer, but somehow they feel like molesting or raping people is a great thing, and it's not. It's horrible. We created the group for that purpose. So that was our contribution. And so we're doing things with that, you know, meeting different people, networking, getting the name out there in Hawaii, because that zero tolerance for that kind of behavior. And I know I made a podcast about this a while ago, just talking about this very thing, but that was the main reason why we created that group. So this is kind of my way to give back. And hopefully people can learn. You hope you can learn from this, gain some insight. Just I'm a regular person. I'm struggling in this world just like you. I'm trying to find my place in the balance of business and art, photography and life and everything else that exists around it. It's it's not easy. I've seen people basically retire or give up photography, or, and I always say this, people, you don't ever give up something that you're passionate about. You may sell your camera, you may sell your gear, but you're still an artist, unless that part of yourself has died. And if that's the case, maybe it wasn't your passion to begin with. That's just some food for thought. Anyways, I'm going to conclude. That's pretty much what I wanted to share and discuss. I hope you and anybody that watches this video gains some insight, and while I'm at it, which I should have shared at the very beginning, please like, subscribe, and share to anyone you think will get something out of this. And it's always an honor and a pleasure. And I guess I'll ask you a question as to what would you that's a great question. What would you like me to talk about in the future as far as videos going forward? Because I know I have a few ideas in my head. Sometimes it's it doesn't come out. It doesn't get made until like a year later. Hopefully not. I want to do this at least every couple of weeks starting out. I think that's a good frequency. And as far as my regular podcast with just audio, I'd like to do that. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do it every week, but I missed that. I missed that. So maybe what I'll do is I'll keep that on a bi-weekly schedule as well. But basically every other week, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try really hard because I do have topics. But what would you like me to talk about in the future as far as being a normal photographer? And maybe I can make a good 10 to 15 to 20-minute video about this and do it live. Because you chat with me live. This is kind of the beauty of doing a live video is you can come in the chat. We can do it live. I may go on Twitter. I don't know. I mean, speaking of Twitter, you're um, more than welcome to join my Twitter. Follow me on my Twitter and also my Mystic Mindcast podcast down below. I also do Twitch to play games, so you're more welcome. But anyways, as far as what you would like me to talk about, that's the question of this video. What would you like me to talk about in the future? Get back to me, put it in the comment section, drop it in the Twitter if you like. I'm available there as well. I think that's about it. I wanted to keep this short and sweet. Oh yes, before I forget, yes, the previous videos and some videos prior to this look just like utter shit. So, um, it's different when I look away from the camera. So, I'm using my Z6, and I appreciate that Nikon had came up with this webcam utility. So I don't need a capture card. I don't need a capture card to capture and stream video. Before last year, you would need a capture card to even recognize that the camera was present on the computer, and I use a Mac. So, using Z6, it's a 50 millimeter 1.4 lens, Sigma, if you're curious. Um, and it's dope. It's the lens is one of my workhorse lenses. It's gotten me through a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of stuff with it. It's great. I even took it on a trip, and it's amazing. Anyways, I'm not advertising. I'm just saying it does a pretty good job. The camera does a great job. And this webcam utility that Nikon came out with is freaking, it's ingenious. I know there's other companies like Canon, Sony. They also released their version as well because of everything that's going on. People are at home doing Zooms and conferences and stuff like that. This is such a great thing to have, and it's so simple. It's a computer utility on your computer. You don't need a capture card as long as your computer is fast enough. I'm actually running it at 1080 30p right now, so nothing crazy, but I'm just talking. I'm not showing. I'm not making a movie. You don't see any. There's no scenery. I mean, you see a fan in the background, but the one thing I love about this is because the past videos I've made, I've used the same light. I usually have to juice that light all the way up to probably like 75% and fry my eyeballs out because the low level on phones are decent, and the last video I made was on an 8, the S8. I do have an S10. It does better, but it's still a lot of grain. Can you see any grain in this video? You probably can't. The low level is great on this camera. Low light is great. This light is on. It's probably like 25%. Literally 25%. I don't gotta fry my eyeballs out. I'm not advertising. I'm just saying that's that's it. That's the setup right there. I got one light right here, LED. I probably put one behind me in the future, but that's about it. Anyways, let me get off here. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you don't like the video because of algorithms and all that, let's face it, in the world of algorithms, and if you want to see more stuff like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Tap that bell. and I will see you next time on the Photo vChat. Cheers, everybody.